How you been?
Oh, okay. Grace is also
Well,
on.
great to see you.
Let me fix that. Hey, Ray. Hey, Grace.
See you. Nice to see all of you.
Hey,
So
Byron, it looks
why
like,
is Natalie is Julie Yang? Somehow Natalie took it on to. All right, Natalie, want to be me today?
Okay.
Julie, I want to be you always.
There
Oh.
you go. All right. We need one Julie Yang.
Byron, it looks like some people may be having an issue finding the link because we're getting a message that the link didn't show up for some in the invite, which I had the same issue. I had to do some digging.
Yeah, you have to do a little digging. When it goes to more information, they should click on more information.
Yeah, I don't even know what I did to instruct others. So that's helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. One more minute. We'll get started. And let's see. I think we got all the right names. Good afternoon. Oh, no, wait a minute. Who's this? You have another one. That is, I think it's Brenda again.
Mm.
It is. Hey, Brenda.
Yeah, I changed phones. Make it
Okay, good.
easier.
All right, let me rename you. I'll take care of it. All right. Very good. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started and just welcome everybody. It's a lovely day. It's good seeing it. Hi, see all the board members here. I'm sure it's been a long day already. And thank you again for being part of this annual event we have with the NAACP Parents Council and the Board of Education. So we will get started. Pernille, I see you. This is the first time who else is a first time attendee? Pernille, I know is. And Dorothy.
I see Rita's name on there as well.
And Rita. I think Rita's may have been one time in the past, and Laura. Hey, Laura. Good seeing everybody. Okay, let me get started with sharing my screen, and we'll just make sure we do have an agenda. Here we go. And just somebody could don't tell me this is going to act ugly. All right. Are you seeing the screen yet?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
good. Okay. All right. So here is what we have for an agenda. And just we're done. Just quick introductions. Any other new faces or new first timers we want to introduce? Please come off mute and just say your name and what school and any of that.
I can go, Byron. My name is Dorothy Jones Davis, and I'm the parent of a 10th grader in the Richard Montgomery IB program. And I also, my day job, some of you know that I work at Kid Museum. I'm the Chief Impact Officer at Kid Museum.
Oh, great. Hey, Dorothy.
Hi.
Thank you. Glad to meet you. Anyone else? First timers? Anyone new?
It's me. It's my first. Hi, I'm Asha. How are you?
Nice meeting you, Asha. What
Good.
school are you?
So my daughter goes to Bayard Reston, fourth grader, and I have a son in sixth grader who have actually 504.
Okay.
And it's my first time one of the parents share with me. I don't have a very long background in this country. I didn't go to school here.
Okay,
But I guess I'm immigrant. My kids are firstborn here.
good. Well, welcome. We're glad you could join us. Glad you're
Yes.
here.
So I want to know a little bit.
Well, we'll make sure we
you
introduce you
let me
to.
know what do you do, and it's my first time.
Okay. Well,
All right, thanks.
we'll make sure we come double back with you. Any other first timers?
Hi.
Oh,
Okay.
first timer here. I have a son at Bethesda Chevy Chase and received this invitation from our representative, Lisa. So happy to join and learn from you all.
Great. Thank you. Glad to hear. Okay.
Hi, my name is Shasona Scott, and I have a daughter that's attending Candlewood. She's in kindergarten, so new to this whole process and school in general. So thank you.
Well, you're in the right place. So glad you're here. Thank you. Okay.
Hi there, I'm Rosine.
Okay.
I have two children at Bayard Rustin. I'd say my children recognize Asha when she introduced herself. In fourth grade and third grade and in fifth grade.
Great. And Walter?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Walter Tesfaye, and I have a daughter in Duffield Elementary School who was nominated, and we came to understand about this program. And I have a son who's in Robert Frost going to Wooten next year. I mean, this year in September. So first timer, I wanted to know more about this program and understand what it is about.
Very good.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
We're glad you're here. Thank you. Okay.
Hello, I am Yvette Robbins. I have a daughter at Rock Creek Forest in fourth grade, and this is my first time.
Okay, great. Glad you're here. Okay, anyone else? Once? Twice? Okay, with that, we are glad to have, let me just introduce a few folks. So this is our annual meeting with the Board of Education. And I want to just share a few ground rules. And this is how our meeting will operate. Can everybody see? Is it screen big enough? Do I need to make it bigger? Good enough? Okay. So if there's any press, please, this is closed to the press, please depart. Inappropriate statements, you guys, be adult. That's all we'll say about it. Personal stories, personal individual issues, this is not the forum for that. We can help you get to the right forum, but not in this space. Again, stay on mute, please, just to minimize disturbance. We will go into breakout rooms with a couple of the board members so you can have a one-on-one dialogue. Fabulous opportunity that is for you to learn from and to share your thoughts with the board members. During the Q&A, if need be, we may be small enough group, you don't need to do the raised hand thing, but let's try to facilitate so everybody gets a chance to talk. Please, if you can, turn on your video and introduce your name and your school so the board members and others get to know, and we get to know each other a little better. Okay. So here are our fabulous board members in all their glory. And we have 3 stars that are brand new. This is their first time. I think this is their 140, in the spirit of what we just heard yesterday, the 100 days of this new administration. This is 147th day of the new members of the board. So that's, we'll keep track of that. We also have a star with us. Pranil is still the current student member of the board. Within less than a month, he will be moving off. The newly elected student member of the board will take the role. And Pranil, where will you be going to school?
I haven't actually told my fellow board members, so they're hearing this for the first time too, but I will be attending the University of Maryland.
Fantastic. Hey,
Yay.
congratulations. So, all right. So, for those of you that are new parents coming in, new people coming to the system, if you're not familiar with the Board of Education, and this slide deck, you don't need to keep all of this. This will go out right after the meeting. This is a little about what the board does, how it operates, little history. There are, in the middle, roles and function. One of the key things I highlight there, the board member serves as advocates for public education and represent the interests of students, parents, and community. And there are 8 members of the board, and we are delighted. And as you just heard, Pernille is a student member of the board, which is great. They are elected to 4-year terms, staggered every 2 years. Okay. And for you new board members, you don't know about the Parents Council. Well, the Parents Council has been around about 25 years, and we're there to advocate for African American and other minority parents to make them more effective parts of a more effective partner in the education of their children. There's some history there. We hold monthly meetings. We advocate at state level, national level on some issues. I'll talk about a few, as well as locally within the school, and helping parents be effective advocates. And we just want to make sure that African American, Black, and other minority students, minority families have a seat at the table and our voices are heard. All right, so one other thing, resisting attacks on public education. Anybody that's not living under a rock knows that public education is coming under assault right now. And we have been active as a part of the NAACP. We are part of the Montgomery County branch of the NAACP, which is the oldest civil rights organization in the United States. Oh, by the way, Linda Plummer, raise your hand, Linda. Linda is the president of the local branch. So anybody needs to learn more or needs to join the NAACP, Linda will be right there to help you with that. All right. So I want to highlight 3 things. We do a lot of things. For instance, we just worked with MCPS to take 2,200 students to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. That just happened between January and March, late March. This year, as you all know, the administration has started to attack that museum. So we hope more students will be able to go in the future, but we need, I would ask any of you whose parent council reps were very instrumental in helping to plan that, any of you that can help write letters to the state senate. This was largely funded through a grant through the state senate. So we want to continue that. A year ago, we were part of a lawsuit that the Legal Defense Fund, NAACP Legal Defense Fund, did to fight off an attack against MCPS's efforts to equalize and make more equitable access to magnet programs. That lawsuit was successful, and it was successful at the district level. It was appealed. Turns out it was on the way to the Supreme Court, but Fairfax County had the identical case, essentially, and Supreme Court denied cert, so didn't hear the case. So therefore, the district's ruling in our favor is the law of the land at this point. We're still, the appeals has, in the Fourth Circuit, it's still not been resolved, but we have the law on our side, at least we can say that. Then this year in March, we joined a coalition here that was led by the Educational Law Center, bringing a lawsuit, filing a complaint about the efforts to dismantle the Department of Education, which could have potentially meant reducing the funding for Title I or the IDEA, the special needs funding. Huge impact. That case is still pending. There are two others, the state's attorneys general and AFT with Democracy Forward filed similar suits. So we're waiting for the outcome of that before we know how to proceed. And most recently, last week, Easter Day, to be clear, Easter morning, we filed a lawsuit, a preliminary injunction. Attorneys worked feverishly to get this, the Legal Defense Fund attorneys working with us, and 6 parents, and I can't tell you how important it was that we had 6 parent council members a part of that lawsuit. One of the issues that the Judge Friedrich asked was whether we had standing, and it was the fact that we had actual parents in the system that are part of the lawsuit is what gave us standing on that lawsuit and others. So on Thursday, the 24th, that lawsuit was upheld along with 2 other lawsuits, which stopped the efforts to dismantle, essentially to threaten that if any school district did not remove any DEI or anything that they felt was, racial equity based efforts, if a school district did not certify that, they would be a threat of losing their funding. So that has been frozen by the judge in the DC court, the certification, and the 2 other courts, Maryland and New Hampshire, froze other elements of that. So we were successful in that as recent as last week. And this article will tell you more about it, so you'll have details. So that's an example of your advocacy. So I just want to push this again to parents and others. Advocacy plays a crucial role both at your school level, but also be it the district level or the state or nationally. So it's really important. And this famous quote, the moral arc of the universe bends towards justice, but it doesn't bend itself. So we got to do the work. Okay. So with that said, we're going to change gears and give our friends in the board, before we go into breakouts, we thought in the spirit of this 100-day story that we heard yesterday from the new administration and the polling and all the feedback that's going on, we thought we'd give some feedback, hear from parents about how they felt the year. We're in day 247 of the current school year. And so we thought, here's a chance for parents to answer a survey. So here's some of the results. There were 39 parents that responded. Largest group were 3 to 5, had children in 3 to 5 grade. That's how it broke out. And don't worry about the exact numbers, but what I want you to see, and you can look more closely at it later, is at the classroom level, the vast majority, which is the light blue and blue, vast majority feel that the teacher effectiveness, the classroom environment, both safety and inclusivity is good or excellent. That's a good sign. That points well. At the school environment, again, the vast majority feel that the overall quality of education at the school is good. Extracurricular opportunities and student support are okay, and safety and security measures are adequate. So vast majority of that. When you get now to the district performance, less than half, which is the blue, would represent excellent or good. And you see they're not reaching the midline. Less than half the parents feel that the resource allocation or access to programs or the transparency, which is the lowest of the scores, transparency with communications was good or excellent. And then for the Board of Ed, particularly less than half feel the decision making and policy effectiveness or communications. The lowest scoring one was achievement of strategic priorities. So there's some things to think about and food for conversation in the breakouts to hear more about that. And again, this will be in the chat, so you'll be able to pull it up. I don't want to get into the comments because that takes way too long. Some good ones though. But here again, this is optional questions that were more detailed, and people were very favorable that teacher engagement, teacher encourages inclusivity, cultural inclusivity, very popular there. Academic support was, more than half felt it was good or excellent. Classroom discipline practices generally felt were good or excellent or satisfactory. Actually, the scale here is different. It's excellent, satisfactory, or needs improvement. So, more than half felt it was excellent or satisfactory. And then where, interestingly enough, the only area that is more than half felt needed improvement was parent-teacher communications. And in the school level, it's also parent involvement. So those really stand out as the areas where there's the biggest need for improvement, according to the respondents here. Similarly, for the district level, needs improvement was the majority of the responses in resource allocation, academic performance monitoring, professional development, and policy transparency. So again, the details. Again, for the board, all of them had more than half the people felt needs improvement was the response. But the one that stands out as most needing improvement here is accountability measures. Are there mechanisms to place to address disparities and hold schools accountable? So that's kind of an informal survey. It's food for thought. It is by no means, it's just directional and something, every one of these numbers, every one of these feedback items, there's a story. Somebody decided they wanted to respond that way. So this is an opportunity for a conversation. This is a conversation starter. That's how I view it. Okay, we won't go into that. Let me get out of that. So now we're back. Okay, so what we are going to do next is we're going to go into our breakout rooms. We have a couple of parent reps that will help facilitate in each of the breakouts. And we have about 45 minutes for just, a dialogue, a conversation two-way. Again, I would just ask to the extent possible, please be concise so everybody gets a chance to ask their question or make their statement, and all of the board members and others get to hear and or respond. Okay, so that is the ask. I have tried to preload any questions before I send you off into oblivion.
Byron, I just want to greet everyone, and
I'm sorry, Julie. Yes.
Yeah, I want to greet everyone. I also want to give my fellow board member a chance to introduce themselves because, hey, it's not, when I look at your survey, I'm impressed there are 39 people actually know what's happening at the Board of Education, because sometimes, how often do we get to be face to face with all of you, right? And talk and have a conversation. So I appreciate this chance very much, very much. And I thank everyone for being here on a weekday night. I know you have a family to care for, things to do, and it's beautiful outside. So before I talk briefly, board member, can you just say hi, announce your name so people can link your name, your voice, and your face together? Grace, would you like to go first?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. I'm Grace Rivera Oben. I'm currently the Vice President of the Board of Education. Julie and I came on together. We were the newbies until 140 some days ago. So it's great to be with you. I represent District 1. So thank you for having us, and I'm looking forward to the conversation and listening to what you have to say. Don't have to emphasize the fact that we're living through some very rough times and rough waters. And some of you know, I also run a nonprofit in DeKalb County, and I do a lot of food insecurity and other services. And we're definitely seeing the toll that a lot of this regime is bringing onto and affecting our county and the wonderful people that reside in our county. So thank you for having me.
Hi, Brenda. Why don't you go next?
Thanks, Julie. Good evening, everybody. My name is Brenda Wolf, and I have been on the board now. This is my 7th year, so I'm not new to many of you. I look forward to tonight's conversation. I'm very impressed by the survey, too. It actually brought out a number of issues that we've been talking about as we are in the process of developing the new strategic plan. Unfortunately, I won't be able to be on very long this evening. I somehow ended up being double booked on something that I had a longstanding commitment to, but I will look forward to getting the slides from Byron and seeing further what the information is showing. As my fellow board member Grace said, we are in some very rough waters right now. So we need all the support, and we're looking forward to tonight's conversation. Thank you.
Carla.
Good evening, everyone. Carla Silvestre, been on the board for 7 years, a parent of a senior this year and a grad. Looking forward to the conversation tonight. Thank you.
Laura.
Good evening, Laura Stewart here. I'm representing District 4. I am very happy to be here. Byron and I have had many conversations from before I was on the Board of Education, and it's really great to work with all of you now that I'm here. I really found the survey interesting and informative, and I really want to dig into that a little deeper. But I think it's interesting how what's happening on the ground at school level doesn't really match what's happening overall, and that maybe that's a clue that some of our schools actually need more support, or maybe we need to be out here listening to you even more than what we already do. So this is part of that. I'm really looking forward to the conversation, and good to see you all. Thanks.
Natalie.
Good evening. My name is Natalie Zimmerman. I represent District 2. I was elected in 2024. So this has been a short tenure so far on the board, but I'm really excited. I think Byron brought up a lovely point that each part of the data that we just looked at has a story behind it. So I'm really excited to listen and to hear what stories you have to share with me this evening.
Pernille.
Hi everyone, my name is Pernille. I was elected last April, and I'm just nearing the end of my term. My term ends on May 30th, or actually no, it ends on June 30th because July 1st is the next mob, so I apologize for that. But really a lot of my work is focused around student advocacy, making sure that students have the representation at the board table. And while I'm here, I'm actually going to also do a plug for if any of your students are interested in making sure that their voices are heard specifically. I know you all do great work. I'm going to plug my Small Advisory Council, and I really encourage you all to get any students that you have involved. We're always looking to make sure that we're representative of the whole county, and so I can send out more information or follow up on that later.
Thank you, my fellow board members. So, by the way, I'm Julie Yang, and this is my third year on the board. And Byron, we really appreciate this collaboration between NAACP and the Board of Ed and the school system. For over 25 years, you did so much. I know that the field trip you just mentioned, and then you are on all our major interview panels. You are, this year, you are on the work group for Student Code of Conduct, which we're going to have a conversation this month. And you also is a major supporter of the field literacy, the policy rollout from the state. Now, over the years, I was able to attend many of your events as a parent, as a school system employee, and now as a board member. For example, I have not missed, I see Sabrina here, I have not missed an HBCU fair in many years. I go every year because truly, like all of you, I believe education is the equalizer. And it's what made social mobility possible. Now, this year, there's another event that really stood out to me. I gained so many perspectives when I attended I think, Brian, you and I might have talked about this. I attended the Whitman Cluster NAACP Parent Council meeting, organized by Mr. English and the Principal Miller, with all the cluster principals, 70-something people show up. The evening demonstrated two things to me. Number one, local leadership matters. We have the board, and there's also different level of leaderships. That collaboration between the council and the cluster principal is so critical in moving the needle on student achievement. And then the second thing that stand out to me is there remains so much work to be done in terms of us addressing barriers, promoting inclusivity, conducting anti-racism, and enhancing and in general enhancing family engagement, right? Because you and I, we all know here, and that's why I think we have new parents signing up and showing up first time tonight here, is when we are engaged together, students succeed. Now, there are several important issues the board and the school system are working on right now. Your survey talk about student achievement. We just had a conversation on grading and reporting, and we'll have a conversation in June on the Maryland report card. And they are also, that we are paying close attention to that pilot of, how better share our report card, the early warning system with families. We are working on school safety issue. We have a conversation this 2 months ago on cell phone. We are discussing student code of conduct this month. And then the system is conducting the safety walkthroughs of all our schools. And now, of course, we are also working on boundary study. The system is working on it, and it's going to come to the board table by the end of this year. And we have to figure out who goes to the two new high schools, Crown and Woodward, and one renovated high school, right, Northwood. So all this work that's happening, and we need to figure out how to communicate it better, how to keep people involved better. And all of it has to center around our mission of respect, learning, excellence, equity, and relationship. And that's where I see all of you as partners. And I really hope that this is not just once a year thing, actually. And my door is always open for conversation. And that's how I think we we move forward. That's how our decision become the right decision. And so thank you for being here tonight. I look forward to our conversation, and thank you for being part of our shared journey together.
Thank you. Thank you all board members. Thank you, Julie, for that statement. We appreciate you welcoming that. I just want to foot stomp that we are indeed partners with the district and folks, as I eliminated with the lawsuits that we've been fighting for MCPS and districts across the country. So very much.
I have some preliminary good news in terms of, you mentioned advocacy, that board member advocate for the school system. Today, we have a conversation at the Education and Culture Committee on our budget. That committee's recommendation is to fully fund our budget, and now that moved to the council. It was just this afternoon. Yeah.
One step, every step at a time. But we're glad to hear that. That's a good start. Okay, so here's the plan, folks. I'm going to press the button, and in theory, all of this magic is going to happen, and all of you are going to show up in other rooms, and we'll see. If you don't show up in another room, hang back. I'm going to stay here, and I will push you, or any of you should be able to select. There should be in your display, if you're on a computer or whatever, you should have a breakout rooms when I open them up, and you can select between the 3 breakout rooms. We have Emerald City, we have Hogwarts, and we have Narnia. So board members will be distributed across the 3. Members are allowed to move themselves back and forth, but we'll see how this goes. We have 45 minutes for conversation. Again, please be respectful of the time. So be concise with your points and enjoy the conversation. So here we go. We'll see how this works. Okay, not going so far. Oh, here we go. minutes plus.
Really? Wow.
27 minutes.
Lisa just talked the whole time.
That's not what I heard.
That's not true, Miss Wylia. Come on now, be honest.
Not true at all.
You don't need to say anything, Lisa. We know. We know.
Tina, you're not going to have my back?
I missed the last part. I do
I have
know,
evidence. I took notes.
No.
Yeah. All right. Everybody else coming back.
I didn't try to filibuster, I swear.
Well, I know Laura. Laura will tell the story. She'll spill the tea on everybody.
Hey, Byron.
All right.
This is Grace, and I hate to do this, but we have a wedding this weekend, and I have family coming from Argentina. I've been at the airport part, so they just arrived, and so yeah. I want to make sure I don't lose them before the wedding on Saturday. So
yeah, that would not be a good thing, Grace. We appreciate you hanging in there and participating.
And thank you for having me. We had a wonderful, lively discussion. I really appreciate the feedback that I'm taking with me. Hopefully, I'll be asking some questions on behalf of some of these parents and how we can make the system a little bit more responsive. But also, I have some great ideas, especially in the tutoring arena and allocation of funds. So I appreciate all of you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's see. Doesn't look like we lost too many. I was worried about people being sent to District 9 or District 12 for behavior reasons, but doesn't look like it was too bad. So why don't we got 5 minutes for each group to kind of do a sum it up and key takeaways or any high points. So let's start off with Hogwarts.
All right, I think I'm on point for us. Sabrina was having some technical difficulty. And we had Julie and Carla and Pranil in our groups. Really appreciated the discussion and conversation there. A lot of the discussion in our group really focused around communication and opportunities for improved communication with parents. And so there was one, a lot of discussion around strategies from the teachers in terms of making sure that parents are really up to speed on two things. One is the curriculum, and there was a very distinct contrast made between the level of communication at most elementary schools versus middle schools, and it being a little bit harder to understand what's happening in the core subjects at that level. So that was sort of a clear focus area. Another point of conversation there was how do you ensure that there is a consistent and very inclusive way that parents can get information at various points in time. And so it's not just that one parent-teacher conference at the beginning and sort of incumbent on the parent to request. So there were some strategies and ideas thrown out about, could you do quarterly sort of a back-to-school night kind of structure, but doing it on a more frequent basis so that it's available and accessible to parents. We had a conversation around robotics curriculum, ELA curriculum. We also talked about how the board can communicate better with parents, and we talked about the current newsletter that's coming out and ways in which that could potentially be formatted in a way that is easier for parents to distill and understand. We also talked about the importance of, even though a superintendent, Taylor, and the board are staying the course on DEI and immigration, those messages have not been as consistent in sort of broad written communication. So how can we ensure that parents know nothing has changed? And we commented just on the strength of the parent council communications in that regard. And we also heard from the board that they very much appreciate being invited to participate in cluster events. So just, any opportunities that we all have to bring them into the conversations would be useful and appreciated. We also had a conversation about neurodivergent children and emerging language learners, and just making where there might be opportunities and ways to strengthen the primary training that the teachers are getting. And there was a notation about how teachers may come out of their initial training without as much exposure to those subjects, and that then might present challenges when they're working with those student populations. Board members, group members, anything that I missed that we should lift up?
I would just add that there was, you mentioned consistency, but there was mention of inconsistent communication across all schools. And so some schools received certain communication, other schools did not. And there's an opportunity there.
Great. Well, fantastic. Thank you, folks. Hogwarts has set the bar pretty high. Let's give Emerald City folks a chance to see if they can meet the challenge.
Okay, I'll take notes. So I'll just tell you what I wrote about. We had 6 questions. They were related to the following. There's a question from Andrea from Rock Creek Forest about the boundary study and what's going to happen and how will parents be engaged. And the answer was work in progress. The most important thing to note, I thought, from the discussion was that there are 4 factors when they evaluate the redrawing of the attendance zones. 1 is diversity, 2 is proximity, 3 is stability in student assignment, and 4 is capacity. Second question was a direct question related to a scholar that we have amongst us for a daughter in elementary school. So congrats to that student. And we'll have to get back to them about the questions that the parent had. Another question was about the campaign that MCPD did. That is the police department, about recruiting students in the MCPS school system. The ad came off as very militant and special, in a special ops kind of way, and it was very off-putting. So the feedback was perhaps we should do a different way of recruiting, but also what message does that send to our students in our community about the presence of police in our schools? There was a question about whether or not we could have a copy of an MOU that was entered in between MCPS and MCPD. We talked about that. Brian, I'm just going to raise this with the Montgomery County Committee Against Hate Violence, because we do have a community engagement office lead on that, as well as I think I have a copy in my inbox of the MOU. So I will talk to Montgomery County and make sure we can share that. Another question about federal government's treatment of undocumented immigrants. This was another, that and the last question talked about the Supreme Court case on inclusivity of LGBTQI+. Essentially, how are we handling as a county, much what Ann said, compliance with these executive orders, and how are we supporting the students in our communities who clearly need it, not just from all the protected classes, we'll say that. So not just from the LEP side, but also from LGBTQI side, the females. There's an executive order on gender and all the other ways that we can help, and what could be done better as in terms of a consistent message. And then the last part of the questions was about how can we get more of our children into the IB program? What if any things can we do to improve our outreach to the Black and Brown community? Many parents who are not used to the IB program are not familiar with the program, and so they don't avail themselves of that. Also, there is issues with transportation. If in fact a student does get in, but they have to commute during the workday, how does one get one to a school when they don't know? So the board is aware of that and is working on that issue. So I think that's all that I have for my notes. Happy to have people add value to what was discussed.
Comments, anyone? Thank you, Lisa. Sounds like it was a very rich conversation.
Okay. Yes, and I should mention we had Ms. Stewart as our rep, and she did a wonderful job.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you.
Sorry, I wasn't in that group, but I wanted to comment about the programs and the availability of them. I think that I feel like my child was in 4th grade and then she went to 5th grade, but I was not aware of the opportunities that are available at the middle schools, like the different magnet programs and until like it's like I got it. You know, you get something in the mail, but you don't really read everything. So I think that there's maybe we can get that information out to parents earlier so they can have an opportunity, because the meeting that came, I guess, through the school wasn't until December, which was after the first round of its lottery system was available. So that's my comment.
Great, thank you.
To add to that, that's one of the key points that we also discussed, was that often there's a lot of information, but the information itself is confusing and it's not always accessible. So it's not enough to just send more information out, but to make sure that it's clear, people have access and can make, better decisions based on that.
Mm-hmm. Good, very good. Okay, terrific. Our last group, and I'm sure they will say the best group, Narnia.
No, we had some great conversations, and we had Grace, Grace and Natalie were the board reps, and it was good to hear from them since they both were and are right now educators. But we talked about what are the priorities of the board, and we learned about literacy, math, and science, and then that sort of dovetailed to what are we doing to support kids who need extra support, and concerns about tutoring and lack of availability across the board. And I think a lot of the questions were sort of painted a picture of the district as haves and have-nots. Some schools have tutoring, some schools have field trips, some schools have after school clubs, and others don't. And we asked the board members, what can we do to help equalize the field? And we were told about PTA partnerships. We were told that sliding scale information about summer camp may be coming soon. And we were also told that the board members, hear the concern about equity and understand and are committed to equity. Kia, do you want to, any other ideas from the Narnia group that I may have left out?
Yeah, I would say that whatever magic you had going on in Emerald City and elsewhere, we had so much magic in Narnia. We didn't have 5 questions, we had 20. Lucky for you, we continue to use the chat as though it were our own, so you can actually review a fair amount of our group, because it turned out it was for the whole group. And Byron, we did not get to all of those questions, so we are very much hoping that you will follow your regular practice of making sure that some of those questions could get answered afterward. We had so many engaged parents in this, and so many parents with important questions. And I want to echo Raya's comments that overall it was about disparity. What's offered here versus offered there, and why are there differences? And what about these achievement gaps? Are we using every evidence-based lever available to us fully? And we don't feel like we are. And so we were asking some questions about that as well. And I really want to echo the thanks as well for both Natalie and Grace for participating tonight. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, I think this was fascinating, hopefully a valuable input. I'll offer kind of final comments as we wrap up for Julie or any of the board members, just to share anything that you want to say in closing.
Sure. I actually was thinking, boy, I would have loved to rotate it, like for us to hear all. So I appreciate the summary portion, and I often think that in our work as board members, that we represent your voice. So anytime that we know more about your experience and your children's experience in our schools, we can represent all of us better. And also our job is to advocate for our school system. So the the tighter we are connecting, the more we communicate, and the more your voice can be elevated to our funding partners, right? And that will, in turn, resource our school right so that we can address some of the issues like summer opportunities, after-school opportunities, create a more equitable landscape among all the schools. So I thank you for tonight. I certainly learned a lot, and I will take back many things, and some of the things really is within our office control. For example, how our newsletter can be a better tool to communicate what we are doing. Those are the things we can act on right away. Thank you.
Great. Any other parting comments?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you all. It's we're a few minutes past 8, so we're gonna wrap it up. I know it's been a long day. Thank you, parents. Very engaged efforts, and thank you, facilitators, for all the kind of leading folks through this, and everybody who participated in the survey. So we will get that out, get notes out to you tonight or tomorrow morning. So while it's still fresh in your mind. So,
and thank you to you, Byron, for always bringing us together.
Well, you're quite welcome, and we glad that MCPS TV was there. So we actually have a recording that we can go back to for the plenary session at least. So thank you all. Congratulations, Pernille, and look forward and hope you have a great next step in your continued career.
Yeah, congratulations, Pernille.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, folks.
Look forward to more conversations.
Indeed. Look forward to it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye, Nisha.